Yo, 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 what's going on, my beautiful brothers and sisters, fellow radiators of love? My name is Jamal Pope, aka J Phoenix, and this is going to be your astrology forecast for Hump Day, August. Let's go. Good Lord, October 4th of 2023. Don't know why I said August. It really is Hump Day. Anyways, this is your astrology forecast, like I said, for October 4th, 2023. Thank you so much for joining me in this video. Hopefully, you guys are having a wonderful week so far. And we have a powerful, powerful day ahead of us. So let's hop into the transit, shall we? All right. Let's go ahead and get into this. So we do have, of course, we have the sun here in Libra. It's making its way into that second decan of Libra, but still not really feeling super strong. Of course, coming off of the trine, or the moon's coming off the trine to the sun, and the sun is heading towards an opposition with Chiron and the North Node and Eris. But that won't happen until next week. But that's going to be building up all throughout the week. So Wednesday to Wednesday is going to be pretty interesting, especially considering the fact that we have a Pluto that's stationing direct the day before the moon makes that opposition. Just saying. Of course, we do have the moon over here in Gemini, so this is definitely, and it's going to spend all the day in Gemini. It'll shift into Cancer the following day. So the moon will be making some aspects throughout the day. It'll make a nice little sextile over to Chiron, right? I want to say it does end up trining over to Mars later on in the day. The other aspect too is that Mercury is coming out of Virgo today. It's the last day of Mercury in Virgo, and it will be shifting into Libra. Mercury, of course, right now has a lot of power, being that it is in a home sign. Some astrologers say that Mercury is actually exalted here, whereas it rules Gemini, exalted in Virgo. So very strong energy. But of course, being at the edge of Virgo, this can definitely be a time where we just feel like we have to have the answer. And if we don't have the answer, we may explode on people. We may freak out on people. We may feel like we want to just blow the whole thing up. We want to just feel like all right, just screw the whole project, right? Just blow it all the way up, right? Do not, especially with a Mercury coming off of an opposition to Neptune, it's not making any more aspects throughout the day and stuff like that. But especially with Mercury here at this last sensitive degree of Virgo, where we are trying to perfect whatever game plan that we want to implement right now. This is not the time. This is not time to try and be perfect. It's not the time to try and be perfect, right? This is a time for experimentation. This is a time of, finding new perspectives with that moon in Geminis. You know what I'm saying? But the main thing of the day, before Mercury even shifts into Libra, is the fact that we have Mars on the South Node in Libra, opposing the North Node and Eris in Aries. Talk about an explosion. Talk about intense energy. Talk about people. This is today. People are going to be bargaining today. They're going to be making weird and shady deals today. They're going to be trying to make promises that they can't keep, committing to things that they can't even really fully come through on. All to save face and all to find some sense of balance and harmony, because they cannot go within themselves and be real with themselves about who they really are and whether or not they're willing to fight for who they are. Right? So that's the thing. Mars South Node days, Mars doesn't, this, first of all, this is an aspect that doesn't happen that often, right? It happens, it seldom happens. In fact, we can just go, let's see when the last time it actually happened. I'm going to just search for an event. I'm going to just search for it. So, because it probably happened it would have happened a couple years ago, right? So I'm going to just put it for that, switch the date, and then we're going to do, I'm going to cast this chart. So Mars conjunct South Node. Like I said, this only happens once every couple of years. Conjunct the South Node. And we're going to go ahead and calculate this. So see if it lets me. All right, so the last time it happened was October 22nd, 2021. Let's take a look at that chart, shall we? Just because. Just take a look at that chart, just because. All right, so we're going to flip that up there, and then boom. All right, this was the last time that we had, oh, wait. What? It's not, this isn't correct. What the heck did it do? Where? No, this isn't right. Nah. Events. Mars conjunct. Oh, for some reason it did like a point. Why did it do like a point? That's not what I wanted. No. That is not what I wanted. I mean, I can adjust this so where it's actually correct. So, yeah, we'll just adjust this to where it's actually fucking correct. I don't know why it did that. Because that actually doesn't seem right anyways. So, let me yeah, here we go. Wait a minute. Say. Okay. This makes more sense. It happened in Sag, that makes so much more sense. Okay. Wait, no, it's still, for some reason, it's not adjusting the one that I wanted to adjust for some reason. Anyways, look at that. Look at me. I am all over the damn place trying to get this thing correct. Oh, here we go. Okay. Oh, jeez. So, yeah, the last time, December 14, 2021 is the last time that we have Mars conjunct the South Node. And as you can see, everything's on one side of the turn. This is a very imbalanced time, when this happened. And this, I'm sure, like the sun, which was getting closer to the galactic center point, right? You have, like I said, Mars on the South Node here at 1 degree of Sag. So this was definitely surrounding like our belief structure and stuff. You had Saturn, which was still in Aquarius at the time, right? Yeah, Mercury and Venus here in Capricorn too. So think back to 2020, like think back to around this time, the last time that Mars was on the South Node, early COVID days, you know what I'm saying? I guess it was like the first, I guess full year of I guess 2020 is when like COVID like kicked off, even though it started like earlier, but like 2021 was like a full year, right, of COVID, so there was a lot that was obviously happening around this time. So just think back to what things were like. It probably didn't really feel like a very jolly season, right? This was probably like one of those Christmases, like especially in the heat of COVID, that Christmas did not really feel very jolly. It did not feel very, holiday-esque at all, really. So, and I actually remember because this was actually the Christmas where I actually did catch COVID. And I missed out on seeing my family. I remember that one. So, yeah, that's what I went through. So now, of course, we are getting this again. All right. So let me just go to now. That's going to be better if I just do that. So switch this back to hours. But yeah, we're going to see that conjunction happen. And it apexes, looks like around 11:55 a.m. Eastern Standard Time is when they actually apex at 24:57. This is while the moon is at 19 degrees of Gemini. Interesting. That's my wife's ascendant. The moon's going to be at 19 degrees of Gemini, right? Suns would have moved up to 11 degrees. And, like I said, we do have the North Node over here with Eris as well. And Chiron is still there as well. This is like a day, guys, like seriously, you do not want to jump the gun too much. This is the day where people will get I mean, people get mad at customer service agents all the time anyways, but this is a day where you can like really overdo it as far as those kind of things go. Of course, Mars is trying to find the balance and harmony. He's trying to be diplomatic. The sun is here, which is in fall. You have Pallas Athena, which now the sun has moved past. They've been kind of traveling together-ish. They've been kind of, working with each other. And, that's the strategist, and she's kind of getting left behind. So it's like they're trying to come up with a strategy and actually approach like the parliament, if you will, because this is more like the parliament. This isn't like the kings, or this isn't the king or the queen. This isn't Leo. This is like the parliament and stuff like that. So, which are they're separate. It's like the king and queens are almost just sort of like placeholders now. They're almost sort of like they do some diplomatic stuff, but it's really more for show and stuff. But this is like the actual brass tacks of it. Pallas Athena is kind of getting left behind, and now Mars is trying to figure out. It's like, oh crap! Like, it's like, what? How do I navigate this shit without popping off, without becoming inflamed? Especially with the North Node on the other side of the zodiac, and Eris, which is the goddess of strife, and it's like this feminine warrior goddess, if you will. Not to mention, if you think about Eris, right? Eris is way out there, right? It's the second largest dwarf planet, but its transit around the sun is over 500 years. The last time that Eris was even in this spot was like in the late 1400s. It's been a long ass time since Eris has been here, right? And Eris didn't even enter the consciousness of humanity until 2005, which I have that chart for you guys as well, because that is also a very interesting ass chart. Why is that an interesting ass chart? Because look, Eris was discovered on January 5th, 2005, and look where she is. 19 degrees. 19 freaking degrees. With the North Node there. They're back. So that's the thing. There's many ways, in some ways, a cycle that's kind of being revisited, but almost sort of like a new cycle is kind of kicking off here for the next 18 years when the North Node comes back around. Like I said, since Eris moves so fucking slow, Eris will probably be here again, after, and was it 2023? So 2041, Eris will probably still be there. So that's the thing about this. Now, back here, of course, you had Mars was up here in Sag, Pluto was here in Sag, Mercury, Venus, they're all here in Sagittarius too. So that's the other thing too, is like this was an interesting thing because the discovery of Pluto already in many ways challenged our beliefs as far as what's out there and what's possible, right? Now, and then with the discovery of Eris, it took it even a step further. There's much more out there in the void of space, and it challenged our beliefs. It broke down and made us realize that there is so much more out there, and that there's so much more to discover and explore, if you will, right? Now, how does Eris act in our chart? Well, it kind of shows where we rebel in life. That's kind of like the basic ass way of explaining it. Kind of where we rebel, where we kind of push back on authority, It's kind of like the fire in the bottle that someone throws. You know what I'm saying? It's like that war cry, if you will. It's an interesting energy. And if you look at the glyph of it too, I mean, there's a couple different ways that you can kind of look at this. It kind of does look like Mars, but it's facing down, right? Whereas Mars is like kind of facing up. It's kind of like facing down, but also the circle is a little bit smaller too. You can make of that what you will, but I think this is about, if we consider that this is a goddess-like energy too, this can also present itself potentially more subtly. Now, I don't think it'll present itself subtly because, like I said, Mars and the North Node are involved in this today, right? So I don't think it'll be as subtle, but just be prepared too, because this is an opposition that's going to definitely challenge our relationships with ourselves, with other people. This is definitely a time where we can even take the smallest little disagreements and blow them up and like declare war on each other over what will probably end up being some trivial ass shit. I'm not gonna lie. Now, granted, hold on, I have this by year still. Let me switch that back to days. Excuse me. Okay, bam. So, not days. I meant hours. Jeez. Look at me. All over the damn place. This whole thing. See? And let that be representative of the day. If you're desperately trying to have it all together and have it be perfect, you're probably not going to have a good time. This is a day where, Mars is trying to figure out how to go with the flow of these negotiations too. But when it's opposing the North Node in Aries too, and there's this calling from the universe to really embody who we really are and have the willingness to fight for it, just no matter how it looks and how crazy it is, and to also not necessarily propel our wounds on the world. That's the other thing. People are going to project their wounds on the world really heavily today, especially since it's Wednesday, it's a hump day, it's the middle of the week. The news that come out today are probably going to be wild. Just saying. It was wild, okay? I mean, shit. I mean, we could even look up what were like the big news things that happened on this. Was it December 14th, 20? Let's see. News on December 14th, 2021. Let's see. What were like the big things that are happening on that? Let's see. Omicron. They're talking about the thing with Omicron. Let's see. Looks like was there like a tornado that happened? Oh yeah, there was. Let's see. Let's just go to one of these things. Let's see. Just kind of see what they were like, talking about back then, because present share. Let's see the latest on the coronavirus pandemic and Omicron variant. This was happening back then. Global vaccination effort. Let's see. I want to know is like what else happened on that day. Let's see. What else? Omicron. Everything was about Omicron back then. So, or Elizabeth Warren test positive. That happened around that time too. Let's see. It's like news stories. I was like, what else happened around that time? Because I just kind of want to, let's see. Oh, the year in review, top stories month by month. Let's just go all the way down to the bottom to December. Where this was. Tornadoes ripped through the South and Midwest, killing at least 91 people. I remember this shit. The ones that went through Kentucky, that was insane. Yeah, I do remember that one. FDA authorizes first antiviral pill to treat COVID. They authorized the second one. It said that it would be a game changer. Blah blah blah. So, yeah, these are the things that were happening back then. And then like I said, that devastating tornado outbreak that swept across like the parts of the Midwest and stuff, and went to Kentucky and stuff. And I think there was that one. Wasn't there that one factory that refused to close or something like that, and like some workers got trapped there and everything. Yeah, so I mean, there was a lot of crazy shit that was happening then. So I would not be surprised if some more crazy shit happens again. Just saying. So let me go back to this right here. So now, if you take a look at, wheel style, Decan ruler. Yeah. So these guys are in the Decan ruled by Jupiter, and then these guys are in the Decan ruled by Mercury. So I think that's, Jupiter and Mercury naturally oppose each other because Jupiter rules Sag and Mercury, rules over Gemini. And of course, by this time, if you just move ahead one more hour, bam, by before 9 p.m., you're going to see Mercury ingress into Libra. And, Mars is coming off of that, aspect, but it's still there, and it's going to start building up to a square with Pluto, and it's immediately going into a quincunx with Neptune. So, like I said, if you feel like you have the whole picture, and if you try to have some sort of like perfect image in your mind of how things are going to look, then you're not going to have a good time. It's definitely a time where you still want to. It's still an introspective time. It's a time where like we definitely want to start to push the boundaries and envelope as far as like, all right, knowing what we're capable of, knowing what we want to create, knowing like reaching out to those people that we really want to reach out to, and being like honest and intentional with our actions about taking intentional, purposeful action. But trying to like change your whole life today, trying to do something that's going to like really super alter the course of your life today. This is not really a day to just up and move to other states. This is not really a time, unless you already were planning this for a long time. But like if it's like random, like out of nowhere, this is not really the time to just be like planning like random moves out of nowhere. It's not the time to. I'd be careful about just, I don't know if I would be proposing to anybody today, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just, and if you're in relationships, because this is happening in the sign of Libra, just be on the lookout. Like, it's just, this could potentially cause some strife in relationships, especially with Aries here. Because maybe you guys don't see eye to eye. Maybe you kind of butt heads a little bit with the Aries. Maybe it's like two Rams. You're like kind of butting heads. And it's like, what's weird about this too is like if you ever watch the Rams, like when they butt their heads, they always do that pause thing afterwards because I think they have to recollect themselves. It's like the bam, and then they just like stare off into space, and then bam, and then they stare off into space. Like that's like it's the recoil. So like be careful of the recoil damage from today because today can have a lot of recoil damage, and you're not going to want to go into these um, eclipses with that much recoil damage. So it can cause some delirium. It can cause some dizziness too, especially with, like I said, Mercury and these final degrees of Virgo moving into Libra. Some people may not really feel a lot of equilibrium. There could be issues with vertigo today, you know? So just, especially with a moon that is in the sign of Gemini, and you have like the extremities and everything like that, which can be affected. Of course, the moon is sextiling. I mean, it's going to be not sextiling, it's trining all of this energy. So it's going to be trining the south node in Mars and sextiling the north node in, Eris. This is a day where we kind of want to just be open to the messages that come through from the universe, because with the intensity of the energy of this opposition, this major opposition that, like I said, you don't see Mars South Node very often. It only happens once every couple of years. And for it to happen in this spot with Eris there as well, and you have Chiron there, it's a pretty intense time. Not to mention throwing the fact that we still have 5 planets retrograde and Uranus, Jupiter, Neptune, Saturn, Pluto, which is damn near stationed at this point. It's not even going to, it's going to move one more minute. It's going to go to 2753, and that's it. So Pluto is pretty much stationed, right? And yeah, of course, you have Chiron into the mix as well. It's definitely an interesting time right now. This is, I feel like, and you know what this is too? I just thought about this when I haven't even watched the movie, but Eris is kind of like Princess Peach, and Chiron is kind of like Mario in like the new Super Mario movie. And Peach, she's that bad bitch. She's on her ship. She doesn't really need Mario to take care of her and stuff like that. But I have to watch the movie, but I'm sure there are things that Mario can still teach her too. Mario's coming in. He's from a different world. You know what I mean? He lost his brother. He's not that strong. He has to gain his power. He has to learn about this new place and stuff like that. He's short, right? So there's this element right now where it's like, especially when it comes to like our destiny, we may be feeling like we're coming up short. We may feel like we're not worthy of it, or we may feel like it's too big for us to take on. I'm like, yo, if your dream doesn't scare you, then it's not big enough. If your dream does not scare you, it's not big enough. And it's okay. It's okay if your dreams scare you. That just means that God intended for you to be more and experience more in this lifetime and to impact more people in this lifetime. So, yeah, powerful day, strong day for sure. Let's go ahead and get into the cards. So, I'm actually making this video the night before, so I had to come over here and make sure that Leo was doing good. So I gave him some fresh food. I groomed him a little bit, you know what I'm saying? And then it's back over to the in-laws for some pet sitting. So, but tonight's the last night of us doing it too. So, what's the card of the day? Five of Wands. You're already starting to see it in like even in politics, right? Then they just try to oust McCarthy, whatever like that. Matt Gaetz has like freaking fire in his eyes, getting ready to like bring down the hammer and shit. But where in your own life does it seem like this the politics and the diplomacy is just breaking down? This is diplomacy breaking down, right? This is diplomacy breaking down, and whether or not you're going to have, are you going to be sound of mind and sound of heart to be able to navigate these weird times? Another card. Well, we got the Sun card here, so that's positive. So this is definitely going to be bringing light to these situations, and maybe things have to break down so we can finally acknowledge and admit where we may be coming up short and stuff, and what needs to be changed, what needs to be transformed, so yeah, just because the sun is in its fall position doesn't mean that it can't bring gifts, doesn't mean that it can't have a positive aspect, right? So it's like, yeah, this is going to be bringing to light certain things, and it's ultimately teaching us that, like, be like the sun. When you're like the sun and you are really, from the bottom of the deck, we got the Judgment card. Whew. Do your best to stay out of trouble today, although trouble may literally come knocking on your door and stuff. So it's really going to be a day of, like, just take a chill pill, meditate, relax, do some writing. The moon's in Gemini is a great time to kind of write out your feelings right now. I know I definitely need to do that. But with the daylight today, with that Mars on the south node, opposed Eris, and the north node in Aries with the Mercury at the last degree of Virgo, and then ingressing into Libra, while Mars begins to King Kong's Neptune. Come the end of the day, whatever the nightly news is, whatever the news that comes out at the nighttime, especially with the King Kong's Neptune, which is going to be awkward and we're going to be put into a weird position where we have to acknowledge kind of like the reality that we've created, acknowledge the relationships and stuff like that, and ask ourselves if these things, can they be harmonious? And I think they can be harmonious. I don't think things are just beyond repair, but today is going to be like a day where there's going to be like this illusion that things are just beyond repair, and people are going to want to throw in the towel and just give up and blow things up and move away and break up and do all this stuff. Don't fall for the tricks today, because there's a lot of trickster energy with the day like today. So don't fall for it. Keep cool, stay calm, stay collected. If weird fights come knocking on your front door, do your best to just move through them and just realize that they're human. They're human just like you, and try not to take things too personal today, because it's not personal, right? Because we all probably at some point in the day will throw shit at someone or something. Now, if we can be honest about us throwing shit at someone or something, the faster and quicker that we can be honest with ourselves about it, the quicker we can move through the daylight today and, get to the next day. but it's definitely going to be a fiery one, an explosive one for sure. So, yep. Don't be a Squidward today. It's going to be a propensity to want to be a Squidward. And like a Squidward that's like hit his edge and it's ready to explode on SpongeBob and Patrick. Like, don't be that Squidward, right? It's almost better to be the apathetic Squidward, but don't be the Squidward that just blows up on SpongeBob. Don't be that Squidward today. That's going to do it for your astrology forecast. It's October 4th, 2023. Thank you so much for joining me on this hump day video. And y'all take care. Stay blessed. I hope you guys have a wonderful day. We'll make it through this. Be all right. It's all good. You're so much more stronger than you realize. And believe in yourself. So I know that sounds corny and cute and shit, but seriously, believe in yourself because you came here for a reason. There were so many souls that were clamoring, that were desperately trying to get to have this experience at this time. And you are here during these monumental times, during these historical times. You came here for a reason. You have a purpose. So just know that. Know that you are needed here. Know that you are wanted here. But anyways, y'all take care. Stay blessed. Have a wonderful Wednesday. I will see you guys on the next astrology forecast. Later.